can describe the way you want my Jesus. Unstoppable, immortal God, unchangeable. Daddy, no one like you. You became my man, Daddy, for my salvation. You left your glory, Daddy, to carry my shame. Oh, that could not stop you, Daddy. Your love is so great. I crown you with praise, Daddy. You are my God. You are my God. You are my God. Papa, 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 you are my God. Papa, you are my God. I say you are my God. No one like you. Jehovah God, you are so rich in mercy. This gift, I am saved by your grace. Oh, no one like you. Daddy, no one like you. Unmerited favor, Jesus. Never deserved it. Daddy, your love is so great. Daddy, not by works, so by your grace. So I crown you with praise. Daddy, you are my God. Oh, you are my God. You are my God. You are my God. You are the Lion of Judah. You are my God. Papa, you are my God. Oh, you are the God of God. You are my God. No one can help you to be God. No one like you. Oh, Papa, you are my God. Papa, you are my God. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Thanks also very much, our sister Russo Wangeshi, for your sweet song. God bless you. It was wonderful. We like your song. You are going places. You are going far. Yes, this is Matalo TV once again, coming to you live from our studios. It's my hope and trust that the Lord has kept you well. Yes, it's feel good to be back on air. And I believe you are eagerly waiting to hear that which you are about to release from our studios. Yes, this is also very important that we welcome one another, even as we encourage many to follow and like our page this day. Yes, I've been dealing with a call to the hurting man. And I believe to those of you who've been following the teachings, you've really enjoyed yourselves and you have really learned so very much. And we are not yet done. We are still continuing with the teachings. And today I want to go back to the place where we stopped. This is the formative stage of a child. And I'll be discussing in length the role of a father in the formative stage of a child. That's where we are going to embark, and I believe as you take time to listen, you learn so much and you'll be able to nurture and to raise your son in the best way possible. And not only your son, but also your daughters, you fathers who are listening and who are following Matalo TV. Yes, and before I get started, allow me to switch to the other side of the studio just to give you some room to prepare. Look for yourself a pen and a notebook because we have already entered into the class of learning. And so I don't want you to miss anything, but I want you to get everything that we are going to release from Matalo TV. And so let's switch to the other side of the studio and bring to us this other number.
moro makume samadi tosia kutija bisore mawira makumato magoro erurumo kemono emoiga yendo ya mona gone gitamata lyogi naduda dia gore no moro makumone ngai wa maya tikire ni maige mahuto magona gario na maya tikire kuweterera wikionda ngai okoe yakona ngai utire jirota ngai ngira kwego ya koke metweke uropo ya hai
Thanks also very much, our sister Salome, for your sweet song. God bless you and anoint you the more. Yes, because of the public demand, I felt it is important that I take some time to teach us fathers on the role of a father in the formative stage of a child. So, in my past lessons, I have taught that it was the duty of a good father, and it should be also the duty of a good father today to introduce their sons into proper parenting, because parenting is not just another process just to follow, but it requires some insight and also foresight on how best you are going to be able to bring up your son and your daughter in the right way. And so when I started teaching on this, I said this is where we deal with the childhood stage, and also after this childhood stage, we find ourselves also dealing with adolescent. But majorly today, I'm going to touch on the formative stage, the childhood stage. And when we talk about formative stage, this is the age between 0 and 8 years of a child's life. And it is also a period of a rapid cognition, that is, in terms of intellectual, social, emotional, and physical development. So when we talk about formative stage, we are saying it is the year between 0 years to 8 years. That's where we prepare our children intellectually. That's where we raise our children and prepare them socially, emotionally, and also that is where the children also find themselves developing physically. And so it is very important for every father to be available in this stage, because if you lose contact with your child from this stage, you may lose them forever. And so I started by saying in my past lessons that a good father would tell their sons or would introduce their sons to this kind of a new experience and tell their sons that when you'll find yourself raising your sons and daughters, this is the most important part, to be able to know or to understand that every child that you see around when they are born innocent. And so they know nothing and they have nothing. And so it's like you have given a new chapter, and whatever you're going to write on that new chapter, it will remain the rest of the years that that child will live down here on earth. So whatever you write in that new chapter, father will tell their son that that information will carry with that child forever and all the days of his or her life. And so a father would caution their sons and tell them, be very careful and be very cautious what information you write on that new chapter, because a child is innocent. So they don't know anything and they have nothing. It is your job, it is your work to have, to create what you want to see in the future of that child as they grow. And so a father would continue cautioning their sons that my son, never ever mess up with a child, because whatever information that child will get from you, that is the kind of life that that child will live. Whatever information they'll hear from you or they'll get from you, that information will will carry with that child the rest of his or her life. And so today, I just want to caution most of us fathers and also mothers, because we have we have so many reckless fathers and reckless mothers. They don't care what they release or what they write on that new chapter. They are so careless to speak to these young ones and also to behave in front of these young ones. They don't care how they conduct themselves. They don't care how they handle themselves. Listen to this. Every child you see around, they are best in copying what they see from their parents. Every child that you see around, I want to repeat myself, they are very good in copying what they see and hear from their mothers and fathers. And so I always tell people, we are a product of what we have seen and what we have heard. So if you're not going to conduct yourself in the best way possible, don't expect that that child will conduct herself or himself in the right way. They will copy exactly what they will see in your life, and whatever will come in their future will only be a reciprocate of what they saw and what they heard from you as a father or a mother. Now, having said that, a father would go on and tell their sons, my son. A father would tell his son, my son, a child that you see around, or every child that you see around, they can eat anything. Yes, a child can eat anything. They really don't know how to differentiate good from bad. And so it is the duty of a father to train their children on what to eat and not to eat. But majority of us today don't take responsibility. We just leave the children to grow by themselves, and sometimes we don't even take time to caution our children, which is very dangerous. And we need to wake up from our slumber and understand that no child can develop by themselves. No child can be intellectually equipped by themselves. They need to be trained. They need to be equipped in that order, such that they will be able to become the right people and the best people that we desire to see in the near future. And so a father would tell their sons, my son, when you find your child eating a cockroach, it is not the best time or the high time to shout down that child or to come in to harass the child. No, the child needs somebody to train them on what to eat and not what to eat. And this is very important that we understand that when we allow ourselves as fathers to smoke before our children or in front of our children, let me tell you, you not have moral authority to to caution your sons and your daughters not to smoke, or you not have the right or the power to be able to correct the mistakes of your sons and daughters when you cannot be able to correct your own mistakes. So a father would tell their sons, my son, it is your duty to teach your child what to eat and not what to eat. And this is very important. You know, sometimes we are missing it all because we have this, our adult mentality that we are that we are trying to introduce to our children, that we want our children to do things the way we do them. We want our children to understand the way we understand things. We want our children to have opinions just the way we have our own opinion. No, before we get there, we must deal first and foremost with this adulthood mentality that we are trying to transfer to our children. We must we must come down from that level and start from the from bottom there and grow up with the child. Remember, you have spent so many years to have what you have and to have the experiences that you have with yourself, and it is not so with the newborn baby. So you need to give them enough space to grow and to develop. You need to give them enough time to learn and to develop. So don't assume that a child knows what you know. Don't assume that the child knows how to differentiate bad from evil. It will only come from you as a good father or a good mother. And that's why we are saying in the formative stage, that is where our children develop intellectually. That is where our children develop emotionally and socially. And that's also where they grow, they develop physically. So it is your duty as a father to prepare your child to become, to become a good child, intellectually, a good child, emotionally, and also socially, even as they develop in their physical lives. So that is very important. Now, from there, a father would tell their sons, my son, it should be made known to you that every child that you see around are vulnerable to sicknesses and diseases. Yes, it happens, and sometimes we don't understand how it comes. It comes our way, but it is normal. It is natural that every child you see around, they are vulnerable to sicknesses and diseases. And a good father would caution their sons and tell them ahead of time, my son, when you find yourself, marrying somebody and starting children, you must understand that you don't eat everything from your wallet, but you must learn to save something for the bad night, because the moment you start to raise sons and daughters, you will also face sicknesses and diseases that comes from nowhere. You may sleep, you may retire to sleep when a child is healthy, but in the midnight something may strike up and the child develops some complication. So a father would tell their sons, my son, when you start to raise children, when you start to raise sons and daughters, you don't eat everything from your wallet. You must be so disciplined to have some savings for the bad night. And hence today we have young fathers who care less and who are out even to fight their wives when they report that the child is not feeling okay. That is the time they quarrel and harass one another. Listen to this. We need to have this exposure. We need to have this kind of an information to prepare us ahead of time, such that we don't quarrel over nothing, over issues that ought not to make us quarrel. Listen to this. When we are prepared well enough to understand that children are vulnerable to sicknesses and diseases, we'll make some savings ahead of time, and we'll spare ourselves some pain that comes with that. So it is important that every father and every mother understand that whether we like it or not, sicknesses and diseases will be part of raising our sons and daughters, and we must be careful on how we handle them when they are sick. A father would not stop at that. He would go ahead and tell their sons, my son, a child requires tender care. Yes, you see, we are preparing our children emotionally, we are preparing our children intellectually, we are preparing our children socially. Now, listen to this. A father would tell their sons, my son, if you want to bring up a strong son or a strong daughter, you must be very careful on how you handle them. Because if you break their confidence at an early age, they'll not be able to handle themselves in matters life. They'll not have confidence with themselves, and they'll not have confidence in life on how to handle themselves when tough times comes around. So a father would tell their sons that children are delicate and they require tender care. Yes, if you want to prepare your child intellectually, you must be very much ready to train them to understand many things, and you must be very tolerant with a child, because because a child knows nothing and they need to get into the process of knowing something and be trained on how to go about such. So before they become intellectual, you'll have to commit yourself to training them and to showing them how to go about issues of life and how to develop their mind and their thinking. So that one is very important. And because you are dealing with a delicate child, it is important that you understand that you need to be very careful on how you handle them, because even sometimes when you're not able to raise them, or maybe let's just come back a little bit, when you're not able to handle them with care, when you're not able to handle them the way they should be handled, sometimes you can injure their emotions. And once a child's emotion is injured, it will take many years to recover from such. And so a father would tell their sons, my son, it is important to understand that in the formative stage, if you injure the child's emotion, it will be very hard for them to recover from the same, and it may take many years to heal from the same. And so a father would tell their sons, handle your child with care, because you may destroy their intellectual capacity, you may also destroy their emotional lives, you may also destroy and cripple their social life. And when you do it that way, when you cripple them in such areas, such children will not have confidence to face life, and such children will not have what it takes to become men and women of influence in this life. And so a father would continue cautioning his son on how best to nurture or to raise their daughters and their sons. Yes, I know there is this theory sometimes that it's only mothers who are supposed to handle their daughters. Those are theories. But listen to this. To every father who is following the teachings, it is your duty to be there for your child, whether a boy or a daughter. Be there for both of them, because they need you. Yes, as much as mothers are are contributing, and they are putting their input in the child, it is also your duty, it is also your obligation as a father to contribute to the development of that child. So don't leave your child to the mother alone. Don't leave your son or your daughter to the mother alone. You are highly needed in the formative stage of every child. And before I continue, allow me to switch to the other side of the studio and bring to us this other number.
Bye.
Thanks also very much, our sister Eriza, for your sweet song. God bless you and do you good. Now, on the part of tender care, I just want to caution all of us parents. Yes, you bear with me. I know times are hard, and I know that sometimes it demands that both parents look for something to do to better their lives and to take good care of their children. That means sometimes we seek for employment, and other times we find ourselves in businesses that ties us up so very much that we don't even have some space for our children. Sometimes we get into careers that don't even allow us to have some space for our children. Listen to this and listen carefully. Every child, whether born in a poor family or a rich family, they require tender care. And so we have this challenge with us, this, in our times and days, whereby we have very busy parents who have no time for their children. They only leave their children with nannies. Yes, and I have no issue with nannies. But my point is, as much as we are leaving our children with our nannies, we need to understand that our time with our children is of high value. It's highly needed. And so let's not entrust our children to nannies and forget that we have what it takes to bring up our children and to give them tender care. Listen to this. I have seen problems in most families, and we are still experiencing these problems with many families, whereby when children are only left to nannies to raise them, and we don't understand that children are innocent. So what becomes of these children? Listen to me and listen carefully. I started by saying that children are innocent, and so what you give them is what they take. And be reminded that most of the time these children are left to the mercies of the nannies. So what these children will carry with them is what the nanny will put in them. And whatever that nanny will light in the hearts and the minds of these children, it does not matter where they were born, it does not matter where they were brought up. Now, the big portion of of that child's life will carry with the information that they received from the nannies. And sometimes we complain and kick and shout because it's like we are not connecting with our children. Listen to this. The behavior you see, the reactions you see is power who introduced what into the life of the child. So we must be very careful how we are raising our children. We must be very careful on who handles our children, because innocent, and whatever they will eat, whatever information they'll get, whatever conduct they'll copy, it will remain with these kids the rest of their lives. So fathers, listen to me. It is important, as much as you are so busy, that you spare time for your children, because whatever they receive from you, it will keep with them the rest of their lives. Mothers, listen to me, because we have busy mothers who have no time for their kids. Listen to this and listen carefully. Whatever that child will receive from a stranger, it will keep with that child the rest of her life. So if there is this urgent need that we consider having ample time with our kids, such that they may emulate us, such that they may copy from us, and such that they may keep by the information that we feed them. So it is important that we understand that, and that's why we are saying that children require tender care. So if we are careless with our children, we may lose them. But if we are careful with them, we may maintain them and contain them. So it is important that we understand these things. Do I mean that we lose our jobs, or we sack ourselves from our jobs such that we may come and stay with our children at home? No, I'm only saying we need to program our time properly. We need to have a timetable for our sons and our daughters. We need to spare quality time for our sons and daughters. That's what I'm trying to communicate to all of us. Now, another thing, a father would tell their sons, as they would prepare them to becoming good fathers in the future. They would tell their sons, my son, listen and listen carefully. If you don't take a good care of your child, a child can follow anybody. Yes, a child can follow anybody. And this one is so, it's really touching my heart to us to see how many parents don't know about these things, and to see how many parents are destroying their children without knowing that they are doing it. Listen to this: if a child can follow anybody, they can also follow any information that excites them. And today we are exposing our children to TVs on a daily basis. They are stuck to the TV from morning to evening. Listen to this: whatever they see and whatever they feed their mind with, whatever they feed their mind through the TV, that one they will follow to the letter. Listen to this: if they can follow anybody, they can also follow any information. And so today I'm worried because we have a generation that cares less of what information they expose to their children. We give them mobile phones, we give them electronic gadgets that are leading our children to the wrong path. Listen to this: these gadgets contain any man of nonsense. These gadgets contains whatever wicked information that may be found around in the world. These gadgets can lead our children astray. We may lose our children with these gadgets if we are not careful. We are going to lose them if we are not getting careful with how we handle them. Listen to this and listen carefully. You must understand from this day, every young father who is listening to me and fathers around, listen to this: if a child can follow anybody, they will also follow whatever information that excites them. So if they watch pornos, you get to understand some days you'll find them practicing the same. If they watch things like LGBTQ, you'll also find them doing the same some days. Whatever information that is needed, it is in this gadget, and it is the duty of a father and a mother to guide their children, because we cannot do without these gadgets. Yes, that one is for true. That one is for sure that we cannot be able to do without these gadgets. They are there, and they will remain there, and they will be there with us now and then. So listen to this and listen carefully. You must become a good teacher on how best, and teach your child how best to handle the gadgets, and what information they should watch and not, or they should get from the gadget on or not get from the gadgets. So it is the duty of every good father to teach their boys and daughters on what information to get from these gadgets and what information not to get. But when we give them the freedom to do their own research and to find for themselves what they want from these gadgets, let me tell you, some days we will lose these sons and daughters, and it will be very late for us to try to bring them back. And I want to borrow from the book of Proverbs chapter number 26 and verses 6. The Bible says that train a child in the way he should go, and when they grow up, they will not turn away from it, or they will not turn away from what they received from an early stage. So it is important that we train our children on the way they should go, and even when and even when they are grown ups, they will not depart from that way. They will not turn away from that way or from that kind of a life that you introduced to them. And I know it might not be 100% to all of us. It will not be 100% to every child. Some will rebel, but even after they rebel, because you gave them the right foundation, some days they'll come searching for that foundation. Some days they'll come back to the real foundation. And so it's only a matter of time. The information, the foundation you gave them, some days will teach them the right way to go. And so today it is important that we understand in the formative stage, it is necessary, it is needful that we avail ourselves as fathers, that we also make our own contribution, not just availing ourselves, but let's have some healthy contribution towards the raising of our sons and daughters. Yes, from there a father would tell their sons that a child requires somebody to teach and to train. Yes, a child requires somebody to teach and to train. Remember, we are preparing these children intellectually. Remember, we are preparing these children socially. Remember, we are preparing these children emotionally as they develop in the physical way. Now, it is important that we understand that every child you see around requires somebody to train and to teach. So if you are not there to train your child, they will train themselves in their own ways. If they are not there to teach your children, they will be taught by others, and they may miss what was meant to be, or what it was meant for them to become. So you must get to understand that if you're not there to train your child, they may be trained by others. If you're not there to teach your child, they may be taught by others. Now, this is something that I've always cautioned fathers, because I've seen and I've witnessed many things go wrong in the lives of many families. Listen to this. I've witnessed fathers come home drunk. I've witnessed fathers come home drunk, and they are shouting and kicking and talking all manner of nonsense, and they are doing it in front of their children. Listen to this. Let me tell you, every child you see around knows how best to copy what they see from adults, or from the adults, or from their fathers and mothers. So if you come home drunk, shouting, kicking, talking all manner of nonsense, now what are you teaching your child? Let me tell you, you have come home drunk, shouting and kicking and talking over all manner of nonsense. Let me tell you, that information will register in the mind and the heart of that child. And some days he will become more alcoholic than you are. Some days he will become more wicked than you are, because you are teaching them some bad behaviors, and they'll go by that. Remember, I've just said every child requires somebody to train and to teach. So if you're training them in the long way, some days that which you have trained them to understand, you see it with your naked eyes. I've seen fathers and mothers smoke in front of their children. Now, what more authority do you have to stop your child from smoking, or to stop your child from drinking? Listen to this. If you want to have some moral authorities over your children, you must, re-examine yourself first and ask yourself, what behavior do I carry before my children or in front of my children? What conduct, how do I conduct myself in the presence of my children? Now, if you cannot be able to interrogate your behaviors and your character first, how will you be able to caution and to maybe to correct your child from what behaviors that they're trying to practice. So it is important that we ask ourselves the right question. I have seen even others smoke bangi in front of their children. Now, what do you think of that? You are training your children to become drug addicts, and some days you are smoking bangi, they'll go looking for drugs and they'll go injecting themselves with some drugs because you trained them that way. So we must be very cautious. We must be very careful how we handle ourselves and how we handle our children, how we train our children and what we teach our children. So it is important that we get to understand all that. I have seen others take their children with them into clubs or night clubs or to those places where people make parties. Listen to me and listen carefully. When you take your children into such places, now you are teaching them something, and some days they'll copy from that and they'll become more worse than you are. So we must be very careful. Parenting is not only giving food and drinks. It entails a lot of many things, and we must also as fathers be prepared, and we must be taught and trained first before we train and teach our children. Yes, that is very important. Remember, in the formative stage, this is where we have rapid recognitive. So a child grabs very fast whatever information that comes their way, whether intellectually, whether socially, or whether emotionally. They grab whatever information that comes their way very fast, and they start to practice that. That we must be very cautious, and we must be very careful how we handle our children. Now, the last one, a father would tell their sons, a child requires somebody to emulate. Yes, apart from teaching them, apart from training them, that every child requires somebody to copy. And that's why you have ever heard children say, me, I want to become like Barack Obama. Me, I would like to become like so and so, because they like to emulate. So if you're not a good father or a good mother, what will your children emulate? That's the question that we should take home with us. What will our children emulate? So if you are so careless, do you think your child will be very careful? They'll be twice careless. They'll be twice careless. So if you are careless, they'll be twice careless. So listen to this and listen carefully. As you walk around, you should ask yourself, what are my children emulating from my life? If you are not a good provider at home, do you think your sons will be providers in their families when God will give them a chance to marry and to start children? If you are not a good protector as a father, do you think your sons will protect their wives and their families? If you are not a good leader as a father, do you think your sons will be good leaders in their families? Yes, now your answer is as good as mine. And so this is what I'm trying to say. If a child must emulate somebody, we must examine ourselves and examine our conduct and ask ourselves, am I giving the right thing to my children? Can my children emulate me in my leadership? Can my children emulate me as a provider? Can my children emulate me as a protector? Can my children emulate me as a counselor of my family and a priest in the same? So these are some of the hard questions that we need to ask ourselves. So it is important that we understand that children will copy everything that they see from us. So if you are a lazy father, wait to bring up some lazy sons and some lazy daughters. If you are a father who does not relate well with other people, wait for sons and daughters who will not relate well with other people. If you are cruel father or mother, wait for a generation of cruel and brutal people that will come after you. So it is important that we ask ourselves some tough questions. It is important that we re-examine, because this life that we are living will be a reciprocate of our children, or they reciprocate in the lives of our children. That is very important. Now, to conclude, maybe let me just mention this because of the public demand. In my former lessons, I taught about a father getting more vocal from age 16, 18, 19 up to 35. Yes, I know there are people who listened to me when I was teaching about a father becoming more vocal from adolescent age. Yes, that is the point. That's a point whereby most boys don't honor their mothers or don't respect their mothers. And I brought this point and I said it is now the duty of the father to correct their sons, because they cannot be corrected by their mothers. It is the duty of the fathers to train their boys and sons to becoming mature men. It is the duty of the fathers to introduce their sons and daughters into adulthood. That is the time mothers cannot handle them, and that's why the father is coming in to help now raise a true man and a true woman. Yes, when they can answer back to their mothers, when they can, when they can misbehave, in the presence of their mothers, it is the father now who comes in to deal with the fury that is in their hearts. And that's why I said a father becomes more vocal at adolescent to manhood or to maturity. It is the duty of the father, yes, to help their sons to mature in the right way possible. Yes, it is the duty of the father to give direction and to correct the mistakes of their sons and to show them the way to go in life. And I've always said again and again that every other good mother can only raise a good boy, but she cannot raise a man. So it is the duty of the father to become more vocal at adolescent, such that he may help their sons deal with their foolishness, deal with their failures and mistakes, and become real men and responsible men in life. So we cannot allow ourselves to miss in any stage of development in our children. So as fathers, we are to start with our children from 0 age to 8 years, from 8 years to adolescent, from adolescent to manhood or to adulthood. We have no space. We have no, empty space anywhere. We cannot allow ourselves to miss in every stage of development of our children. So that one should be taken to the bank, and we should carry ourselves with this information. And not only us, but we should become also teachers and trainers to train many and to teach many on how best to raise our sons and daughters. If we do it that way, I want to promise all of us we'll have some healthy families, we'll have some healthy society, and a healthy nation. And this is the pride that we should carry with us, that we are now having a strong family, a healthy family, a healthy society, a strong society, a healthy nation, a strong nation. And what else do we need? Well, that is the joy of every father and every mother, to see a healthy family, a healthy society, and a healthy nation. So God bless you and God do you good. We are coming back to bring to us a word of encouragement. Remember, it is only in Matalo TV where you receive the best, and it is only in Matalo TV where you are educated for free. We don't pay school fees here, but we give people the best of information to help them maneuver in their own individual lives and also in their families. And I'm coming back to bring to us a word of encouragement, and I also promise that this new year will have some Kiswahili programs. So God bless you and God do you good. I know we are meeting into that other session of the word of encouragement, and it will be hot. God bless you as we switch to the other side of the studio to enjoy this other number.
Gracias,